So I'm probably going to need you if I get...
I know, I'm feeling like about this too. It's just hard to talk about.
Well, it's hard for you too. Even Jen last night, I was like, how you doing? Because when it was my uncle, it was real hard for me too.
Yeah.
And they're struggling and we're struggling and it's all different levels, but they're all hard.
I know.
My dad was like your second dad.
I know.
So it's like you're struggling, I'm struggling, everyone's struggling.
I feel like...
I have so many notes. The most notes I've ever had for a podcast.
I was thinking about that last night. Like, this has to be hard for Teisha too. Because
It is.
Well, that's why I was like, is that why I got sick?
Yeah.
You know, like it's weird, you know?
1,000%, that's why you guys. Like, that actually makes the most sense to
You
me.
know what I mean?
You were already run down, and then it was too much.
Yeah.
and your body reacted for sure.
And I really couldn't talk to you the first couple days. Or the first day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pray. Should we do it in our heads?
That's my.
I'll pray. Dear God, just thank you for today. Just pray that if this is your plan, that you just speak through us, Lord. Just help this be about something bigger than jerking around. Help it reach someone one day, if we ever hear it, and just help it be something we use to cope. In your name, amen.
Amen.
So I'm just going to talk, and I'm not going to worry if it's stupid.
Yeah.
But so when I was thinking about recording, I was thinking like, I feel like even though we make fun of the podcast, that like the jerkies are like our friends.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was thinking about all the times we talked about my parents. Mm-hmm. And we did talk a lot about their love.
Yeah.
Like with marriage, I always said how special their love was. So I was just like thinking, because last week I wanted to talk about my dad wasn't doing good, and I wanted to talk about it, but I got too nervous because it's hard to be real.
Yeah.
And I just was having, Teisha and Dana know, I've just been having like headaches, and I might have had some sort of form of panic attack. You don't really know when you're going through that stuff, why you're going through it or what's happening. I still have a headache though, so I'm on antibiotics. I feel like it's helping, but I don't know. But I've been having headaches, and then for 2 weeks I really wasn't doing good. And there's so much to all this. But my dad just passed away this last weekend. We recorded on what, Thursday? Wednesday? Tuesday?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to talk about it then, and I told Teisha after I wasn't gonna, but I don't know. So,
well, I think it's like, you didn't know, like, is this related for sure? Like, I think you thought it might be.
And I still don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm all, but I think.
Well, I think the headaches would be so bad right now, and they're not.
Yeah, but it's almost like sometimes the pre and the unknown is more stressful than going through it.
Yeah.
You know? I think you knew that it was nearing the end, but you didn't know when.
Doom and gloom was coming.
You didn't know where. You didn't know how.
Impeding doom, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Like impeding doom.
Right. It was almost like this thing that was like gonna come maybe, but you didn't know, but you had a feeling. And then,
I had a feeling.
And so
Very
you knew,
strong.
because you texted me on Thanksgiving and the picture of your dad, and you said he was not doing good. He did not look good, and like it was hard for you to even leave the room that day. I think seeing him change over the past couple months has been, really, I don't think you understand how hard it's been on you.
So my dad's like always been my hero. And I always thought he would go from good to bad, good to gone. Honestly, I thought he'd go to good from gone, you know? And I always told people that. And I've always told people another thing too. But seeing him so weak and frail, and like a man that you put on such a pedestal, it's just so hard to watch, because I didn't want him to think I was pitying him. Because when I looked at him, like, you know how you read people?
And he wouldn't like that.
Yeah. So I was having a hard time being around him, because, like, even with you, sometimes I know you're struggling, but I know you don't want me to know that you're struggling. So I have to pretend you're not struggling and not look at you, you know, because I know if I look at you, I'll know, we'll know. And I knew you didn't want that.
Right.
You want to pretend everything's fine.
Right.
I'm with that with Tana. Like, I can read her, and I'm like, oh, we're doing this. So I'm all, and I'm like, okay. You know, like, I know she's not good, but I have to pretend we're playing the game that we're good. But I'm like, so I felt like that with my dad. Like, I could feel too much.
Yeah.
And I could feel what he's feeling. And I was like, I didn't want him to know I knew, so I wouldn't look at him much.
Right.
So that's like, one area of guilt that's like hit me. The first day and 2 is really hard because there's with passing, there's so much finality. That word is just like, that's one of the things I just like. The finality of the end, it's like, I know they're in heaven, but it's like so final. There's not a lot of things in life that are this final. And I've had other people pass, but I think this is just, I think your parents, your husband and your kids, there's like a different level of closeness. But like the finality of it is like, it's like jarring.
Yeah.
There's nothing in life that you can't redo or change. You gain weight, you can lose weight. You quit a job, you can get another one. You get divorced, find a new husband. Like you can always send one more text. You can always, so that part was like shocking, like not like getting to, you hear him in heaven, I get all that. But I'm a really strong Christian, so I've always been like, he's in a better place. But I've learned some things that people don't really love to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I know he lived a great life. But right now, I don't really want to say that so much. To my close family, I get it. But like some people, I love my mother-in-law to pieces. I love her so much.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's 86. He lived it all. He did it all. When's the service? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about a service.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a service because I don't want, that's the end.
Right.
That's the moment. That's it. Yeah. That's when the door closes.
And just because someone lived a great life or we know they're, like, he's running around up there, but like it doesn't make the missing and the not getting to see them, the selfish part of when someone passes, like that doesn't take that away at all. You're not like, especially because he wasn't like on his deathbed. Because that I almost feel like is easier because when you see
get
someone,
all that time, your brain comprehends this.
And when they're
end.
so suffering and they're
you want him to go.
You're like, just get him in a better place. But like he was playing slots hours before. So like he was still living his best life. Like he was old and tired, but like he was still Bob.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was another thing that I feel like there's things that like when you have a kid and you're like, what everyone talks about, they're not talking about this stuff.
Right.
So I like want to talk about that stuff. The stuff that I've never experienced before, that I never have heard before, that I didn't think would happen to me, that I'm like, be ready. But I've never not believed in God. I've had one period where I questioned it when I was dating an atheist in college. I think we talked about that. And then I came back stronger. But, we always say the heaven and this and that. And I've heard people say, are you sure he's up there? And I'm like, how could you think that? Whoa, that was hard.
Well,
like my mom and I are like, are you sure? Are we all just believing this?
Right. When it's you, like for me, for you now, I'm like, it's 500% sure that he's in heaven. If there's one person I know that's in heaven, it's Bob. Because he's like the most reading his Bible.
It's not him. It's, is there a heaven?
Right.
But like
when it's not your emotion, because that's how I felt with my mom.
Yeah.
I was
the other way.
And you were like, she's there. And I'm like, but is there even, and is she there? If she is there, can she know that I'm sorry? Like, it's weird.
All that is very weird.
Very hard.
I wish there was a like confirmation ticket, like cha-ching, like on your phone.
Yeah.
He made it, he's good, he's with his family and having a good time. Like the daycare, when they send you a text.
Yeah.
Kennedy's playing with Bob and she's having fun and you're like, okay. So that was like, my mom even was like, Crystal, is this all real? Like it's in that like makes you question everything you've ever believed in. Like, that was hard. And then I prayed for some signs. And I had signs with Lincoln. I've had Lincoln come and talk to me. And I've had my uncle talk to me a ton. But my aunt's never had him talk. Like, that was harder for her. And I didn't understand it. I'm like, he's in heaven. Like, come on. He's talking to me all the time. Did you dial the right number? I hear from him. But, so I did pray to my dad. Okay, Dad, I just need to know you're okay, that you're there. And that, like, you're watching me, not just that you're there, because I know they don't know you by name. That whole thing is kind of weird. Like, is it just time? Like, is it just, he's not with Uncle Jim, he's just
floating around?
Yeah, you're just not yourself, because you don't know people by name. I don't know. Sometimes that religion stuff gets a little heavy. Like, what does that mean?
Like the logistics of it. Yeah.
But church was, like, so about that last night. But I was like, okay, God. And then I was like, okay, Dad, just tell me something. And then he told me, I'm here, I'm good. Take care of Mom, tell everyone I love them. And then he said, you'll always be my too little. And that's like a name I forgot. Like, he called me too little when I was really little. And then I got too big and nobody was calling me too little because it wouldn't make sense. So I gained weight in like 5th grade.
But like for that to come into your mind, it was
yes,
it
like
was
I haven't heard too little in like so long. And I was too, like, I really did get too big. So you can't say too little to too big. It would be, what are you calling her too little? You know, she's too big. Like, no one's calling Kyle too little, you know, or like anyone.
Yeah.
So he'd always, because I was a real little kid, like I was real skinny. Remember, and then I wished to have the stomach and I got big. And I hadn't heard too little. I didn't even remember like that name. So I was like, that's for sure my dad. And then my cousin, so these are dumb things, but it took a minute. My cousin was saying that it was hard for her, you know, in the hospital. We're blessed that my mom, so the ending, we all went to Vegas, and everybody said it was a bad idea to take him to Vegas, which we all knew. But my brother had talked to him one-on-one, and my aunt had flown in from New Jersey. My cousin had flown in from New Jersey. We've never ever done this kind of trip, never.
Bob's
we go to
family.
New Jersey. My dad's family. We live in Arizona with all my mom's family. My dad's family's all in New Jersey. And so they've gone to Vegas before, but I didn't get to go. And Cheryl's never come to Vegas. Like, we've never come to this side of the country all together. And so I wasn't missing it. Like, we planned it forever ago.
Yeah.
No one was missing it. And, you know, everybody was like, it's too much for him. I'm like, and I kind of knew, but at the end, it's like, what are we going to fight about? And I really learned recently, like, with family, you just have to choose. That's what church was about too last night. You have to choose your battles. And like, my brother lives with my parents. I just feel like my brother gets the respect of getting to have the final say because he takes care of him day in and day out.
Yeah.
I'm more like Disneyland dad. Like, I get to come in for the hospital stays. I get to bring dinner here and there, but the burden of it isn't around me. Not burden, because that's another guilt thing that my mom's having right now. We didn't want him to feel like a burden. Did he feel like a burden? So he went, you know, and because she yelled at him sometimes. Because, you know, my mom keeps him on his toes and kept him going. And the day before he said, look, Mare, I'm taking a few steps without the walker. I'm getting better. She said, good, Bob, you know, because she told him he didn't need the walker.
It's like so funny.
He didn't need the walker. So we all go to dinner. Allie and Jordan and Addie had just came in town. I was with my brother. Like, the night before, Kyle and I were disagreeing if I should fly out the night before. And
I'm so glad
I get like this feeling. I'm very good with my intuitions, I feel like, and I knew I had to go. And you were sick that day, which was annoying because I always, like, if Kyle's not happy about something, I don't like to go against my husband. Mm-hmm. And he was like, so you're going, like, he was leaving the next morning. What's the big deal? And I wanted to go at the 5 o'clock flight because they were flying out earlier. They changed the flight the night before, but I had cheer and I didn't want to miss it. And I couldn't think straight. I was like, what's the right thing?
Right.
The right thing. And I had gone to Rebecca because I had those headaches and the panic attack, whatever. So I had gone to Rebecca 2 weeks in a row, which I've never done before in my entire life. Like, entire time I've seen her, I've never gone 2 weeks in a row. I literally went to her on Thursday. We left Thursday night. And we had talked about scenarios. What's bothering me?
Which is
my
so
mom,
crazy.
worry, my dad. And she said, go. You need to go. Because I said, I don't want to go against my husband. Because Kyle was like, you know that, just go. That's not what I wanted.
But like, you wanted like a blessing.
I wanted, like, it's important you go with your dad. This is more important to me. I am more than fine.
Yeah.
We will see you the next morning. Go.
Yeah.
And we literally had the biggest fight. Like, I was like, I need to go for bigger reasons and I need support right now. I can't think straight. This is his last trip. I need you to be like, go. I don't
really ever tell you to go against Kyle, but I was like, you should go.
Yeah. And so I went on the late flight. I didn't miss cheer. I just, the day was like, I couldn't get to the 5 o'clock flight. I was trying. Then Maddie wanted to go. Did Maddie go? Like, I couldn't make a decision. So I went. Then I saw my aunt. I didn't get to see my parents till the dinner, which was a little disappointing. But my brother and I had a day of fun. We haven't had a day like that in years. And it was like so good to get on the same page with him before this. And we all get to dinner. We all sit at the Italian food. We all took a picture. And we joke in our family, that's how we cope. And I told my dad, look alive. And I'm feeling so guilty about it. Like, I said, Dad, look alive, no pun intended, like joking. Because we joke with him.
He does look really alive in the picture.
Yeah.
Though. He looks so happy.
Well, and he was doing so good in Vegas. Sometimes he gets like a second win and he turns a corner. And I was thinking, oh, I think he might be turning a corner. So I wasn't as tuned in with him. Like, there were slot machines everywhere. It's like Disneyland. Like, every machine I've ever wanted is everywhere. So I'm feeling so guilty about the gambling. I'm feeling really guilty about the gambling because I was like, so like dinner's over and I had like a half an hour before we were going across the street with the kids. So I was like, Kyle, you take the kids upstairs. I'll be right back. Like I was so ready for the casino. And I'm just being honest. Not proud, but I really think like things happen for a reason too. And I've resented gambling with my parents for my whole life. Every Friday night they'd go to the casino and leave me home alone. And I love that they went on dates, but I hated how the casino got them. It was like
it was like a gambling addiction. You felt like it was more important than you.
Me. And I resented that forever.
Yeah.
And it's like when I made fun of Jen for her knee. And now I hurt my knee. And I was like, okay, I get it. I almost feel like it's a blessing that I understand them now and I don't resent it anymore. I like get it. It wasn't about me.
No.
It was about the win.
But I think it was about them unwinding together and like that was their happy place. It was.
So now Maddie came with me and I'm like, I'm allowed to play. You're not going to tell me to come to the room. She's telling me to come to the room. And I'm like, you said I could play. It's 12:01.
So Maddie will be ditching her kids for slot machines.
Maddie's probably resenting me the same way I'm resenting my mom.
Right.
But I'm also like, that's okay. Like things are going to work themselves out. You just have to let the time happen. And I did have some resentments because we all do. And like God's really working me through all those, which is such a blessing because you can't always choose when that timing happens. But I was like, okay. And then my dad, we had to walk him to the table because the scooters you can't bring to the table. So Kyle and my brother had to like each have them on the side. And I couldn't see that. So I was like, I gotta go. Like,
yeah.
It was just so hard. So I was like, I gotta go, you know? And it was just like so hard to see him. And that's the part that's hard. But I'm like, in days, I'm learning that in heaven, he knows it was hard. He's not resenting that.
No.
But right after, the guilt was like consuming. Like all day I was with my brother. I should have been with them. And so he goes and he's playing. Kyle said the first day. Playing, but I looked and it was him and my aunt, my mom, all in a circle, and he's playing and my aunt's telling him, put the 1, Bob, not the 10. You're hitting the 1, you know, with the accent, not the 10. You hit the 1. You 10. My aunt gave them each some money. My aunt's amazing. And they were all playing. So we go to New York, and I'm playing again because Kyle was like on best behavior because we had the big fight the Thursday. So he's like, go play. I got the kids. And I was like, this is amazing. So I was like, okay. You know, and my aunt called me and said, hey, your dad's ready to go up. Do you want to take him up? And I was like, oh, I'm across the street at New York. Do you want me to come back? She's like, no, I got it. I'll take him to bed. And I text her, you sure you don't want me to come up? And she's like, no, you're fine. That, like, also, I'm like, should I went back up? But everybody said maybe that was time for my aunt with him. So my aunt texts me, he's up there, he's in bed, he wants the breakfast sandwich in the morning. I'm going to go with my daughter, because my cousin was leaving. I'm going to go with her. Can you get him the egg sandwich with the prosciutto? Like, my aunt, like, we're the same. So she's like, it's on the corner, sit him down, get him a seat, get him the sandwich, sit with him. And my brother was going to a UNLV game, and I was like, I'm going to spend the whole day with my parents. I'm going to do nothing but spend it with my parents. That was how I like worked out that I didn't take him to bed. And I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, are you okay? You want me to come up there? She's like, we are good. We're settled. You play. We're fine. And I didn't talk to my dad. I always just talk to my mom. You know, like, hey, Dad. And so then they went to bed. And then he woke up because, you know, he needed help going to the bathroom, and my mom helped him. And then the sink was overflowing. You know how you have those nights where your kids are sick and you're like, I know I'm supposed to care, but I just kind of am so tired. And so she was trying to do everything, help him get cleaned up, help at the sink. And, you know, they did all that. He got dressed, he got to bed, and then, you know, he got up at 3 again, and she helped him, and it was her birthday. And he told her, happy birthday, Marion. And then at 5, she went to wake him, and he wouldn't wake up. So she's slapping his face. I guess he's done this before. So she said, I'm going to call 911 now, Bob, because he hates the doctor in the hospital. So she was threatening it, and he wasn't getting up. And then she's like, oh, no. And so she went and got water and threw it in his face to try to get him up. But my mom is a panicker, and she didn't panic. And she says now that she laid and they talked before she called us. And so she called Kyle, and my phone was on silent, and she called Kyle, and I've gotten this call so many times in the middle of the night. And Kyle answered, I heard him, yeah, we're on our way. That's all I heard. And he didn't tell me anything. I just figured he's not doing good. We got to take him to the hospital. Here we go. I just go into that zone. Like, here we go. And normally I pray. Please, God, don't take him yet. Please give me more time. Please give me more time. And it has worked every other time. But this time I didn't pray that, which is so weird. I couldn't even pray. It was like your body knows. I went, here we go. And I like went into fight or flight. Like, this is bad. Yeah. Here we go. And so as I'm walking out of the room, my niece calls Hudson, my daughter, and said, Mima just called my mom and said, Peepa's not breathing and he won't wake up. And I was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
And I know my mom wasn't calling 911 because no one was saying that, and I kind of knew that. So I was like, oh, we got to assess before we decide to call 911 or not. And he's not breathing. He can't have oxygen. We got to get to the room. So in Vegas, they have it where you can't go to the different floors. You can only go to the floor that your key allows. I'm on 12. My mom's on 4. I'm in the elevator, and I can't get to 4. You're hitting 4, and it won't light up. And you're stuck in the elevator. It's not going anywhere because you can't get to 4. So I can't think straight. And I'm like, I got to get to 4. And so we get to the lobby, and Allie's on the phone. I can't get to 4. So I know Allie's not with my mom. No one's assessing. This is minutes my dad's not breathing. Minutes she can't wake him up. And my mind's processing, we're losing him. And so I go to the front desk. It's the middle of the night at the casino. The line's out the door because there's one guy checking in. Yeah. No one's around, no security. I'm like waiting for the guy. He's like, so you have breakfast? So, and I'm like, my dad's not responsive. I need to get to floor 4. Get me to floor 4, the stupid elevator. And he's like, ma'am, security's going to meet at the room. I can't get to the room. I can't get to floor 4. What's the room number? I don't know the room number. And it's going, you're losing him. And so we get a key, and I run, Allie runs, Kyle runs, we get to floor 4.
So they gave you a key to go?
His room and to the floor. We got the room number. Thank God they didn't show me ID.
Yeah.
Because they could have, because I'm getting a room key to the room. I don't know, but it was easier for the guy he can't give me 4th floor. He has to give me a room number. Yeah. And then it will allow. And I was like, thank you for not making me sign. Yes. There's a liability in that. For sure. So I guess security is there waiting, because that call went through, and Allie told him to go away, which is so weird. She goes, we're good. Before we even went in the room.
She did?
Yeah, which is are we good? But for some reason, she didn't want that. Yeah. It was weird. And then my mom was outside on the phone with Allie, and my mom wasn't in there. You would think she'd be and my mom was like, he's in there. It wasn't.
She knew.
Every other time he's been sick.
Yeah.
It
wasn't let's save him. It was past that.
And I'm so thankful that Addie called my niece.
Yeah.
Or my niece called, because I was like, here we go. When I walked in, and I was first one in the room. Yeah. And I saw his feet and the color of his feet. They've been colored before. Yeah. But when you have congestive heart failure, you don't sleep laying down because you can't breathe. Mm-hmm. So he sleeps really bad. And when I went to the hospital last time, I called you, I didn't feel good then. Yeah. And I was like, I can't look at him right now. I'm having a really hard time, which I didn't expect. But he would sleep so suffer, it was awful. And he was fully laying down on the pillow with his head turned to the side, laying flat, with his feet crossed, literally
peaceful.
The most peaceful we've ever seen him lay. And I knew he didn't struggle because he wasn't uncomfortable. Yeah. I've seen him when he can't breathe, what he does to the pillow, what he does. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know he was for sure asleep, and I know he was in a decent sleep. Yeah. By the look of him, but he was warm. Yeah. Literally, it had to have happened. My mom probably woke up, and I've been reading, because she said his head had some smell the last couple days, and she kept saying, are you sure you're cleaning yourself? My mom, I feel awful. I kept saying, Bobby, stink. You're not cleaning yourself. You better get more soap. But I'm trying to find out what that smell was. And I was reading that hearing is the last sense to go. So even if their heart stops, it's really important that you keep talking, because they can hear it's the last thing to go. And I know my mom probably talked to him a lot. Mm-hmm. But when I first got there, it was hard because you do know their past. It's scary. it's creepy
Yeah.
because it's not your dad, but it's your dad, but it's not your dad. And the body, it's just different.
Yeah.
My mom was kissing him. And again, not my mom. Like, Bob, I love you, Bob. Like, you would have thought they were on a date. Like,
My dad did that to my stepmom, like even at her viewing, which is like it's been embalmed, and that was hard for me to look at her. I was like, I didn't go up there. I just kind of stayed back, and he was up there kissing, hugging. It's so crazy.
it's so crazy. She was so loving to him. And
That's so cute.
And it took me a minute. My family does this thing where we all say what we love about a person on their birthday, or so we all got in a circle and we said what we loved about him, and that was really hard because you feel like it's a summary. And like, how do you list all the things you love about someone that's your hero?
So you were all in there together then?
My aunt came up. My aunt and I are very close, and she called, and my mom called her. She didn't answer, and then I said, I'll call her. I called my cousin first. I thought maybe my cousin would tell her. My cousin's like, yeah, you better call her.
Yeah.
This isn't what I was doing. And Cheryl, I love you. She listens. But I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay. So she answered, what's the matter? And she said, what's wrong? And I said, yeah. She goes, oh God. She just, like, we didn't say anything. We didn't say a word. She goes, where are you? I go in the room. We're just spending time with him. You know, he passed into
I
sleep.
can't believe Allie sent the security.
Yeah, we
I
keep
didn't
like
know
replaying
that.
it.
Yeah.
So it gets
Because
funnier.
like it's great because you got to have that time.
Oh, we had 3 or 4 hours.
Because otherwise it would have started the ending then.
We had 3 or 4 hours where it was magical in the weirdest way. And there was something about seeing him where I think what you were saying is all the worry about how, when,
Right.
how, when was like, no. That's the story ending.
Yeah.
We had Italian food. He played at the casino, and he tied. And anyone that knows my family knows the casino is a big deal. The Jerkies know. The casino is a problem. But how interesting that right now too, I get it.
No, like
I've never gotten it.
I told her, I said, it's like if I died at the beach or Tahoe. Like it's like their place. If I could pick a place that that Bob and Marion love the most and their family loves the most, and it's like Vegas and the casino. It's like
every family vacation was Vegas or not Laughlin. That's my family place, and it didn't happen in where they live, and it didn't happen.
Right.
You know, it was God. That did feel like God. It just felt hard, you know, but he's not going to suffer anymore. And I think part of my worry was watching him suffer and how far this was going to go, because I didn't feel like it was going to go that way. I thought that I thought he would go good to gone. I didn't think he would go good, bad, 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 you know, and he still was very blessed. He was just started to use the walker in the last 2 weeks. You know, he just stopped going to church 2 weeks ago. He just stopped going to Bible study. And with the slip where he had won $150, which is big for my dad, he was a winner. So he got to win too. My aunt, by the way, won $12,900 next to my dad. My aunt's a big winner.
12,000.
12,000. So she had won 2,500 twice and almost 13,000. My dad was next to her. Mayor, she won the jackpot. Mayor, you know, my aunt won, but we couldn't find his wallet.
Yeah.
So we're looking everywhere in the room. Before we called anyone, we did all the things. We said all the goodbyes, but his body was starting to change, and the kids are like, "Mom, it smells in there. Like we gotta." And so we're like, "It's getting weird." It's been like quite a few hours, so we got a call. So my mom got all their pills, got all their stuff, and we got my mom out before we called the people. And so we can't find his wallet. And we're like checking everywhere. My dad's type A times Kyle times 1,000. He would never, ever, ever not have his wallet.
Right.
You're flying. Like he wouldn't have his wallet. So when we get home, his wallet is in his nightstand drawer. He had my mom get his debit card and his license out of there before they went, which shows she thought he was giving it to him to look at it.
Yeah.
She didn't realize he was leaving his wallet. And it was
Like
in his
for him
nightstand
to
drawer.
make that choice is so crazy.
And in his wallet, we needed his Social Security card. It's in his wallet. We needed his life insurance policy and number in his wallet. We needed his veteran's ID number and card in his wallet. Every single item we needed was in his wallet, which I don't think his social was, his whole card. You don't leave that in your wallet.
Yeah.
That's like not safe.
Yeah.
Everything we needed was in his wallet, in his nightstand. And we just know that I know my dad would worry if something happened to him, they would take him away and we wouldn't get that info.
Yeah.
So it was better for him to leave it at home so it was there if we needed it.
Yeah.
And that was like so crazy. So we did all that. The police came. The coroner, the fire department was amazing. They said, we're not going to, they knew he had been gone for a while. And then the security guard, when we did call, he was like, we usually have to take him off the bed and work him.
Yeah.
That's protocol. That's what we have to do to try. Yeah. And he said, we're not going to do that out of respect to you, which I'm so glad. He was bones. It would have crushed him.
And that's so nice. And just seeing that is so traumatic.
Yeah.
It's not how you want to picture it. Like, you want the prayer and the around and the peaceful.
It was beautiful. It was like Lincoln. We had time. And I remembered with Lincoln, I got to go hold her. And after she passed and she wasn't in pain anymore, and it was the most special thing that I've done. And so once everybody left and it was Kyle, Allie, and I laid with him, I prayed with him, I did all that and hugged him, and that was the best moment, But then the guy was like, the cop came and he's asking us all these questions. Where's the prescriptions? They're gone. It did kind of look like foul play. When did he pass? 5:30. It's 10:30. Sorry. Yeah. Like, did you call anyone? No. And he's like, well, where's his wife? She's downstairs. And he's like, so then he's like,
how's a little weird.
It's so weird. How's the weather in Phoenix? I'm like, this jackass. Sorry. So I had to go lay next to my dad because I couldn't see the changing. It was creeping me out. So I laid behind him and was spooning him. And that went on for like a half an hour, and I'm rubbing him. Daddy, I love you. You're the best dad. And the cops just like, so then the kids had to bring me something. So the two kids come in. Hey, Mom, here's your water. And the cops, he's going like this, try to hide my dad. I go, yeah, they've seen him. It's okay. Yeah, Monty. She goes, Mom, is this your new friend? Like, because we're funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, the guy thinks we killed him. Like, So then Allie goes downstairs when we decide it's time to tell him. She goes to security and she said, hey, my father-in-law just passed away. And he goes, what? And he goes, when? Did you alert anyone? She goes, that's what I'm doing now. I'm alerting you. He passed away. And he's all, get the people. And we're just like, by then we've all like, she's all, nope, I'm alerting you now. He's passed.
Well, and think of like the calls they get in Vegas. It's probably a lot of people doing weird things, and then like it's emergency situations. So he's thinking, he's not like, what's going on?
Do I rush there? What do I do?
Right. Yeah, and the fire department was running up, and Kyle's like, you don't need to run. He's good. But it was like amazing. It was just like her leaving a state without him, was hard. Mm-hmm. And all the things are hard. But I don't know, just the moments we've had, and I think I've talked about that on here, some of the things I've gone through with my parents and hurt and resentment, and there's been times where we weren't always talking, like we were taking a break like friends, because there was hurt. And during those times, I always worried if something happened to him. I'd be like, we're not getting along, I need to fix it. What if something happened? I'm so thankful that nothing happened during that time, because what I would tell anyone, and you tell people this, but tell the people the things.
Yeah.
I wish, for 15 years, every night before I went to bed, all through college, all before I had kids, I'd call my dad every single night and say, good night, I love you. I read some Chicken Soup in the Soul, remember that book? Mm-hmm. And I read this story about how this girl was going to bed and had this weird feeling and went to her room and said goodnight to her dad and gave him a hug and laid with him. Then went back to her room, and the next morning he didn't wake up. And she was so thankful that she listened to that gut instinct and went there. And so anytime I got a weird feeling, I then became a habit. I called him every single night to say goodnight, because my dad had a heart attack when I was in 8th grade, and he almost passed. And he had triple bypass, and he was having open heart surgery, and he wasn't going to make it. And it's this whole thing. So that was 30 years ago. So every day we worried we were losing my dad, and we were blessed to have 30 years of him meeting all our kids, getting married, all these things. But it's just so weird. For 15 years I did that, and I missed that one last chance. But it's okay. I know as I'm healing, it's okay. But I just there's so many dumb things. I had a friend that texted me that I think she's annoyed at me about something, and honestly I don't even know what it is, but I know she's upset, and she texts me about my dad, and I said, love you, and she didn't say it back, and I just it's so stupid. What are you mad at? It's so stupid. Everyone's just doing the best they can. This stuff just doesn't matter. And the most times that people are fighting with someone is because they love them. So when someone's mad at me that I don't care about, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, all right. But the only reason you really get mad or get hurt is because there's so much feelings there.
Right.
So like that's something I encourage. Like that stuff's just so stupid. Who cares?
Yeah.
And like do the things. Go to Vegas. All those people told us not to. I'm so thankful we did.
I'm so glad you went.
You know, make the trip. I had to cancel 5 things to go that weekend, and it was like, go. I wish I would have left on the earlier flight. Take the earlier flight. Like do the things. Be with family. I don't know, all those things. I just like want to tell people, do the things, say the things. Everybody that texts me, I'm saying I love you because I do.
Yeah.
I do love them. We're just so busy. And that was something my mom said that pierced me to the soul, was after, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be all alone. And I'm like, Mom, I promise you won't be alone. I promise. She's like, but you're just so busy. And I was just like, like I'm never going to be too busy for you. And I talked to my dad when I was alone, and I said, Dad, I'm sorry I've been so busy. I'm sorry you're not a burden.
Oh, he didn't think that.
But it's just so hard. Like I would run and get him dinner, and I would run for 5 minutes and drop off dinner, and I'd stop by and get him a sandwich. But I didn't just sit with him enough, and I know he knows I love him and all that, but it's so hard to manage the slowdown. That's something I'm going through right now. That's something I'm talking to my counselor about, because I'm like, everybody says say no, blah, 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 but how? Everything's important. Everybody matters. So if I say no, like I love my friend knew I wasn't feeling good and wanted to take me to Magic Feet. I didn't want to plan a day to go to Magic Feet because it's a thing on my calendar I don't want,
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel so guilty, but it adds a burden. For Tuesday next week, I have to go to Magic Feet. I don't want to have, but I think that was God telling me to keep my schedule open.
Yeah.
Because I had 2 people last week that tried to get things, and I told Rebecca, I can't book these things. I don't know why. I don't want anything on my calendar. Like I've been saying, I don't want anything on my calendar.
Even the Christmas party, you were like struggling with you went back and forth, like, should I have it? Should I not have it?
It's like God was, but I wish I just would lean into that instinct and let it go. Because I couldn't plan that. The auction, we've been talking about the auction forever for March. I couldn't plan it. I don't know. I just do the things, make the people. And then I think too, so when I laid on my dad after, I laid on him, and then this song came in my head, another song I haven't heard in my head in years. And my cousin and I, we'd all hang out a lot when we were little. My parents were best friends. Their sister-in-law's best friends. That's who we hang out with. And Kelly and I were doing a show. We did shows for everyone. Nobody really liked them, but we did them at the nursing home. My mom liked to do that, like do the show so they could like... She made me sing at this gong show at church. Melissa talks about it all the time. They made me sing Grown Up Christmas List. I wasn't a good singer. They gonged me. I'm a first grader up there singing my best, and they gonged me. And my mom was like, but you look cute. Like it was kind of like their thing to laugh at us, but we thought it was like, they thought we were Star Search, And so my cousin and I were planning this song, and it was, have you ever heard Daddy's Hands?
Yeah, I love that song.
So I'm laying on my dad, and all of a sudden Daddy's Hands came in my head. And my cousin and I did that as a show song all the time because we just thought we had the best dads. And we were like, we're so lucky we have the best dads. Daddy's hands aren't always gentle, but I come to understand that there is always love in Daddy's hands.
I love that.
And I was telling my cousin about it. I go, Cal, the song that just keeps coming in my head is Daddy's Hands. And she goes, maybe that's because he's with my dad now.
Oh.
And I was like, you're probably right. That's why that song, that was like them saying,
and it's
we're
so
together.
Them, yeah.
Yeah. So the last thing, the sign, was my brother came in the next morning. I stayed with my mom, and so embarrassing, but I was sitting in the casino and I was playing and I was watching them because we kind of all stayed in an area, but I have a problem where I go from machine to machine. My mom goes, yesterday, I've seen you in there now. It's really, you're too much. Like my mom's telling me I'm too much.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like,
and she's like, you're like a freak in there. I'm like, I know, I like feel it, And I could see them all, and I saw them scooting. So my mom would have to move the chair for my dad to have to scooter to the thing. And my brother said when I got there, he goes, this is a shit show. They're running into things with the scooters. They're stuck in the elevator. They got stuck in the elevator twice because they're scooting. And earlier Hudson called me laughing. Mima, we were trying to let Peepaw go in the elevator, and Mima tried to cut in front of him and crash into Peepaw. Like it was just a shit show, So I'm watching my mom have to move the chair, pull my dad up, and I'm thinking, this is so hard. Like how... and she's like can barely walk, getting out of her scooter to help him.
Oh.
And I'm like, how is this going to go on? Like, we need full-time care. Like, how is this going to go on? And all night she's getting up. They've had to call my brother twice because he fell in the middle of the night. And my mom's the weak helping the weak. Like, there's no one.
But she wouldn't have been happy. He wouldn't have been happy with full-time care. Like, that's not Bob. Like, he pulled his own infected tooth out with pliers when we were younger. Like, he had, like, when you need a root canal and your tooth's bad? But they didn't have insurance, I don't think.
Yeah,
so he just pulled it out with pliers. Like, he's not getting the full-time care.
No.
Yeah.
But I knew that couldn't go on forever. And so I think my mom is she's sleeping because she hasn't slept in years, and she said she had dreams about him last night. I go, that's Dad.
Oh, no, yeah.
So
that's great.
Last night we didn't know what to do, and I hadn't been to church because of sports, and that's so not an excuse, and that's something that I think when I was questioning heaven, and when I'm questioning when you're not feeling as close to God, I think that's because of the world, right? Like, I hadn't been to church, and I know, because I've learned this my whole life, that whether I go to church or not doesn't mean I'm better or worse Christian. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. But what it does do is it does help your faith. It's like fuel.
Yeah.
Like putting a gas can into the car. And we're going to chug out if we don't fill our tanks.
Yeah.
And I have chugged out. I was chugged out on empty. I was headaches. I was dizzy. I was worried. I was panicked. I had anxiety. And I hadn't been to church. How telling is that?
Right.
And so last night, there was like 2 hours I didn't know what to do. And I was like, Kyle, I'd really like to go to church. But inside I was like, I do not want to go to church. I'm going to bawl. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the message is going to be. It's probably going to be stupid compared to what I'm going through. But I was like, I just want to go to church. And I don't want to leave my mom. So I said, Mom, I think we're going to go to church. And she's like, okay, I'll go. And I'm like, how do you go?
Right.
So her and my dad, they're like, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly. I mean, to see my mom without my dad is like to see someone without a head.
Like, he goes to work with her,
every day,
and sits there.
She goes to they're never at dinner that night on my mom's birthday. We went to dinner, and seeing her without my dad, there's so much fear about like the Notebook story for me. So I'm like very tuned into my mom because my mom's health is not as well, and her heart is crushed. And that's another thing I've always said was like,
they're going to go together.
Yeah. And so right now, I am not having those regrets. I am not missing those moments.
Right.
I am leaned in 100% to her. Like, nothing matters but spending time with my mom. And so I'm like, okay, so we're walking to church, and she's, her feet are really bothering her. She's struggling, and we're in church. She doesn't want to sit where she normally sits, and we're sitting, and they go every single week to this place. So the worship songs come on, and it was Hallelujah. And my mom's just raising her hand, singing Hallelujah. And I'm like having a hard time singing one word because you're so grateful for God, but at the same time you're in so much pain. And I look at her and she's singing Hallelujah. And I was like, that's faith. When you're at the bare bottom of pain and you can still raise your hand and say Hallelujah. And before I went, I was like, Dad, you don't want to get a quiet moment. I'm like, hey, Dad. And I was like, Dad, and he's like, good job. So proud of you. I'm so proud of Mom. And I know he would want us to go to church and to see my mom singing Hallelujah without him there. He's so proud of her. So anyways.
Well, I think that was his biggest fear in going. I think that's why he held on so long and was so strong until the end, is like his life's mission is to take care of Marion. That's just like who he is.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and he was the spiritual leader of our family.
Yeah.
My dad read the Bible every day, and when we talked about him after he passed, our favorite things was that he was a man of few words. And that's something I told Teisha. I've been guilty because with parenting, I'm not a big words person, and I'm a big words person in life. It's like, shut up, like, but with parenting, sometimes I have a hard time, like, well, here's what a better choice would have been, and let's talk about why. And I'm just like, I'm few words. And I think it's because that's how my dad, I listened to my dad a lot. My mom talked a lot, and that was great too. And Kyle kind of talks more than I do, which is great because he's not a big talker in life, which is funny, but he does talk to the kids very well. And for me, I'm more like, they're going to follow. Like my dad wrote a check every week. We had no money. And I remember he was in his office writing a check every week before church. And I tithe religiously, not because he told me to, because I saw him do it. And I go to church every week, not because they told me to, because I saw my parents do it. And, you know, like he was just so strong in his ethics and the way he lived. And I want to do that because of what I saw, not what I did, or not what was said to me. So that was like a big thing that we remembered. But my mom became a Christian because of my dad. And so for him to see her still lead and love, I just think that's like so crazy.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to learn from this is it's so hard to know what to do for people. Because I'm pretty good about that.
Yeah.
So like I love that everybody's called and text. I do think that's so cool because you don't know what to say. So it's really awkward to call. And even if I don't call back, it's really nice that they called.
Yeah.
And the texts, like I've sent so many, like I'm thinking about you. But the texts that really are something are the things that say something about the person. So I didn't know that because you don't want to say too much because you don't want to be emotional and say these great things when they're already hurting. But I did learn those really matter.
Yeah.
People do want to hear those things about, like we all say thank you, love you to the sad, but when we get one that says something about dad, we read it to each other.
Yeah.
And it creates this moment. And to hear that that person had such an impact on people is like so proud. So that's something I'm going to learn. I'm going to tell them how great that person was.
That's a good,
You know, like, or a story.
You don't know what to say.
You don't know what to say. So you say, I'm so sorry. I'm here if you need anything. Let me know. And you know they're not going to let you know, but you want them to know.
Yeah.
But what is more powerful is to say, like, you know, you said, like, you've always looked up to their marriage. And that, you know, that stuff is like their legacy. You know, and hearing my cousin Jeff, who we don't get to see anymore, has said, I really missed him and now I'll miss him forever. And that was like, he had that much of an impact on you.
Yeah.
Like all those things about who the man he was. You know, so many people, so many of my friends said, that my parents' love story, like, changed their life. Because that kind of love you don't see. And that makes me so proud. We didn't have money. We didn't have things. We didn't do trips. You know, and those are all the things I focus on with my kids because I didn't have them.
Yeah.
You know, I never want them to worry about money because we always worried about money. You know, and I never wanted, I'd go on the trips because we never got to go on the trips.
Right.
But it's so clear right now that who cares?
Yeah.
Because sometimes where Kyle and I fight is because we're so busy working to create these things.
Right.
But those things don't matter because my parents were present, like with each other, not so much with us, but they enjoyed each other every day.
Right.
Every minute of every day, they giggled, they laughed, they, you know, she put on before we went to bed. Have you guys seen Victoria Beckham and Victoria and what's his name?
David.
Them singing that dance?
I've seen the clip of it, yeah.
She said we watch this every night before bed because they were dancing, and that's our love song. She said every night before bed we'd watch this together, and my dad would say, "Put the song on, Mare." And then my mom, if you've seen her, she dresses very colorful.
Oh yeah, tell them how he said that.
So she's in her nightie, her boobs are out, everything's out. My aunt's coming, my cousin's coming. She's like, "Should I put it?" You know, and it's all. She wears these pasties, and they're out. Their full pasty was out. She's like, "Should I put something on?" I'm like, "Yeah, get dressed." And she planned her outfits. So she puts on black leather pants and a black shirt with like zippers. She never wears black. She never wears black. And I guess she'd tell me that my mom always looks good. And she'd tell me that every day she'd get dressed, my dad would say, "Mary, look good. I don't know how you know how to put this stuff together, but you do it so well."
Isn't that so cute?
But what's funny is we were going through pictures last night of my mom and us for years, and my mom didn't always look, like my mom's really like looks her best ever right now. And my mom's always been a looker. Like it's just a thing that my mom's a looker. Like everybody has always said my mom. Like my mom is just one of those.
Yeah.
But when we look at pictures, she wasn't. Like, but she always identified as one. We've talked about that.
Yeah, and I think it's because Bob...
Like she was, yes.
It's like he always, in her eyes, was like...
This.
Yeah. Or her in his eyes, yeah.
Like built her up to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so then evereverone else sees it too. It's
Yes,
crazy.
and she acted like it. It's like so cool. My mom goes, "Who's that?" "That's you." She's like, "Oh God, that's not me." But this story is so funny. And then I'm almost done. But last night we were telling stories. I don't know if you remember this, but we were living in our house. I don't think you were living there. I think it was Sally and Jamie. And every night I thought the doorbell was ringing. Do you remember this?
No.
So every night at 3 a.m. the doorbell would ring. So I thought someone was coming after me. So Sally and Jamie and I got hairspray out one night, called the police. We had a hanger.
Did they hear the doorbell?
I don't remember. Maybe I was living alone. Maybe I was living alone.
Okay.
Maybe I was living alone because I don't remember. But it was this whole like month, the doorbell. It was like this thing. So I'd call my parents in the middle of the night. They'd come over. The doorbell's ringing. We'd miss it. So then my parents like stayed the night, like 3 nights. And my dad's looking out the window. He has his BB gun. We're all sleeping on the couch. We're going to catch him this night. I'm crying. It's like taking over my life. I haven't slept in weeks because the doorbell, we're going to put up cameras, and no one had cameras back then, so it would have been like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, like a ring now.
Yes.
You know?
We didn't know who was ringing the doorbell. They're coming after me. What if they're breaking in, ringing the doorbell? So one night, I think we had a party and we were up late, and I was my computer. It was like a full desktop. So, because when we sleep on the couch, they never ring the doorbell. Like, we're ready, and they didn't come those nights. So we're like, they didn't come because they saw my dad's Hummer. And they know I'm not alone because I was living alone.
Yeah.
They know I'm not alone, so they didn't come because they knew my dad was there. So this other night, I'm upstairs, we're all hanging out, and it goes ding! And it was... It was my computer. It was the Southwest Click and Save. It like sends you an alert when it goes on sale.
That was the doorbell?
Yeah.
My God.
Oh, that is so funny.
And I was like, we were crying. We're like, it's the Click and Save, and my dad's like, gonna get him,
That's so cute, though. They're staying
Oh, yeah.
there. Isn't
Yeah.
that
And I like, they know the Hummer's there, and you know how you work each
Yeah,
other out. They
yeah.
were like, yeah. But it was because I wasn't in my room by my computer to hear the ding. Isn't that so funny?
Oh, my God.
So that's another thing. Everybody's like, again, I love my mother-in-law, but she's like, so when's the service? Do you need cookies? I'm like, Bonnie, I can't talk about a service yet. She's like, well, I'm bringing dinner. You send me what you want and what day. And I'm like, that's so, so nice. But like decisions are really, really hard right now.
Yeah.
I just can't think straight. And so everybody's like, I'm getting confused on who's bringing meals which day, which I'm so blessed that people are bringing meals. But something small that's really been nice is like, Regina sent donuts in the morning. And it was like this element that we've never thought about.
Yeah.
Like the mornings are actually almost harder than the evenings.
Yeah.
And like to have to do breakfast and I'm alone. Like Kyle's at work by then and I'm just starting, and it's like, when you're sleeping and you wake up and you hope it's a bad dream and it's not.
Yeah.
So that happens in the morning. It's not the best time. I don't even want to make my own coffee. Like I'm just like, and I'm trying to do the kids thing. Like, so it was like, I didn't know what to do the other day, and I opened the door to take out the trash and I saw the donuts and I was like, thank God. Like, here's the donuts.
Yeah.
The kids are done.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to tell people, that's a good idea. It's the breakfast. The breakfast is actually really hard, and it's not as expensive as the dinner.
Right.
And it's like, so I sent Jen donuts this morning, and she said, thank you so much for the donuts.
Yeah.
Like, and it's what, $15? Right. But it was like, or getting a coffee.
Yeah.
Like something that's, you don't have to worry who has breakfast because nobody has assigned the breakfast.
Right.
So it's a shoo-in that you don't have to schedule it. And like, you don't have to really pick out, people aren't as picky with breakfast as they are for dinner. You could send bagels.
Especially kids.
Yeah, you could send bagels or donuts or coffee. So I'm telling people, do the breakfast. The breakfast is a good idea.
Yeah.
And the edible arrangement was amazing last night with the chocolate. Like, that's a really good thing.
Well, for them, I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, we sat around.
So I just thought like something that like could just pick, and like.
And that's, so what's great is my sister-in-law dropped off dinner for both of us last night, and you don't think you need all this food. Well, we went over there after church. We all sat around the table. We weren't hungry. But when you're visiting, you tend to eat. Yeah. I ate the pasta at my house. I ate the pasta at her house. We all ate the whole edible arrangement laughing. And it was just like, even sending something, I know I have I'm not saying this boastfully, but I do have a big circle. And everybody's made fun of my big circle, but I've never been more proud of my big circle as the last couple days. Like, and what's even more amazing is my big circle is even reaching out to my parents and my brother, and I'm like, this is what life's about. You make fun of my big circle, but they will carry me right now.
Right.
Like, I am so thankful for my big circle. Never been more proud. And like, my mom's like, they sent us this, and my brother's like, they dropped off this, and I'm like, I'm so proud and thankful for people not only taking care of me, but taking care of them. Because it matters, But I don't remember, but it was just the big circle is really nice. Yeah. And then the calls, are nice. But if I don't call you back, don't get your feelings hurt. I don't want to cry more. Yeah. Like certain people that I love so much, as soon as they say hello, Nikki called me today. I couldn't say hello for 5 minutes. So hello, like over here.
Yeah.
But the breakfast, the text with the thing, that was really nice. And I think they keep checking in. I'm so worried after a week or something you'll feel alone, or my mom's going to feel alone. So I think pushing things out, like I'll get you dinner next Friday.
Yeah.
So then you know that you've got support next Friday.
Yeah.
Not that first week when everyone's covering you. But I'm more worried about her in the next couple weeks.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's like Megan and other people have said. It's like the beginning, you're almost numb.
Yeah, that's what I think
and
my
then
mom
you have
is.
so much support that it's like when everyone else's life goes back to normal and yours is not normal. It's like that's when it's, I feel like, really hard.
Yeah, those are the things I was like, I'm learning so many things about like the thing and the finality of it. Like I just want I want to make sure every moment I tell my kids how proud I am. I tell my husband, and that was the thing kind of when we had the thing Thursday, you know, so the weekend was kind of weird with us because I was hurt, and I don't get like hurt that easily, but like I was hurt because I like have these intuitions, which he doesn't understand. And we've kind of talked about it without saying words, but I knew. So it was like, I was so set on leaving him because I was like, I knew something he didn't understand. And that night, Sunday morning, I was supposed to fly out with the girls to make it to cheer because they had cheer practice. And I didn't want to miss the Vegas trip, right? So we were going to fly out to make it to cheer because Maddie is cheer at 11 a.m. So I was going to fly out with the girls. Kyle was going to drive with Boxton. And I was like so weird about him driving, like without me if something happened.
Yeah.
And my mom said to me, like, I would do anything to have 5 minutes with my husband. Be with your husband. Yeah. And I was telling you guys yesterday, which I never realized, but sometimes I think I get so scared to depend on Kyle because I've watched the fear of losing my dad my whole life that I was like, if I depend on him and I lose him, I'm going to be as shallow of a person. But what I'm learning is my mom never lived. She knew he could die at any time for 30 years.
Right.
And she never didn't depend on him less.
She almost went more.
She did. And is she worse off? She lived so full and abundant because she never worried about him passing, you know? And I'm like, she goes, Crystal, everyone's looking at me really sad. Is there something I should know? And I'm thinking, yeah. But I said, no, Mom, everything's fine. But I was like, what's the point? You can't prepare her. Yeah. There's no prepared. So that's another thing. Like, I want to make sure that Kyle and my kids are most important because sometimes I'm too busy taking care of everyone else. And I feel like that even with them a little, but I don't know. All the lessons that I'm going to forget next week, so I wanted to get them down.
Yeah.
And the voicemails. I am going to play it just because it's so important, but I save voicemails. I mean, you just kind of know things. So I have a voicemail from my aunt, my mom, and my dad. I have a few, but like they're so important. Like I have the voice. I have this one.
Morning, Crystal. Happy Valentine's Day. Love you, sweetie.
My mom.
Give me a call when you get a chance. Love you.
But I'm so glad I saved that.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like, we had a video of my dad we sent yesterday where he's like all drugged up after a surgery, and like the voice. You need the voice.
Funny. Yeah.
And nowadays we take such quick videos. We don't take long videos.
Yeah.
That like make sure you get the not just the kid doing the dive, but like the everyday life video.
Yeah.
The funny video. You know.
Yeah. Just them being them. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are all my things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody? So we'll see how the next couple weeks go. We'll learn a lot. It's going to be great.
It's not going to be great. But.
No, but I don't know. Oh, the one thing. The best thing is that when this stuff happens, you could care less about so many things. I almost wish that was something that would last longer because it's like
Sarah and I were talking about that, my sister-in-law, and she's like, it's so crazy how it takes something tragic to like put things in perspective. But it's like you have such a perspective of like eternal things and non-eternal.
Yes.
It's like there's truly two categories and nothing else matters.
100%.
And so much gets swept aside.
Yes.
Should be swept aside.
It's so dumb.
Well, I was telling Kyle last night, I said I love today. Like, we went to church, we went and laughed with my brother. We haven't done that in years. My dad would have, well, he was. I have to work on that. He was watching us just going, that's my family.
Yeah.
But we've all been so busy, we haven't done that.
Yeah.
And like I told him, my team still met and did all this, and we like work was still happening. It's not like I said, I'm not selling your house anymore.
Right.
But like I wasn't so wrapped up in it. And for me, I did learn that I am a little controlling, and it might be shocking that I didn't know how controlling I was, but we have like a teacher's lunch next week for school, And Christy just took it over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have the best team in the world. Jeff said that. He goes, you have the best team in the world. Like, not everybody has the best team. He goes, depend on them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. Maybe sometimes I don't use that enough. And people want to have jobs and like to take things off my plate. So that is a lesson I'm learning, is like, let it go, share it. My mother-in-law, did you figure it out? You know, but
well, because she's so cute, but she just wants to have
that's
her
how
list.
she functions.
And she's like, I'm gonna get the cookies and the flowers, and it's this day, and like she can't rest until she knows that she's helped, and that's her way of helping.
Totally.
And the other thing that Monica has talked about, that you talked about, that is something that's very, very hard, is even if I didn't talk to my parents every day, I knew I had my parents. And like, there is this element when you lose one of them, that like, you don't have a dad anymore. Like, he's in heaven, I know. But like
you can't call him and get advice, or you can't, it's just different.
And they're
not
watching
having him
you.
here.
Like, if something happened, I had my dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. That's super hard. And then the night before, when I couldn't sleep, you know, when you scroll on Facebook, it was like the phones, and it was like dad calling, mom calling, and they said, if your phone still shows both of these, you're very lucky. And I was like, I gotta be more patient when they call. You know how you like...
Yeah.
But I do want to like reiterate that too, like, I don't know, just be so lucky that you still have your mom and dad, because they do drive you crazy. Like, my mom would call me, you know, like, Mom, I'm busy, and now I'm like, ooh, I'm not busy, I'm gonna be there. That's all my things. A lot of lessons learned. That's how I cope. I'm not my to-do list, but my lessons.
Yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's it. Jerking around.
I know. I can't. I think there's no better way to end it. Just
Yeah.
That's it.